going on, guys? Welcome to another video on my channel Hairliciously. If you guys are new to the channel, please make sure to subscribe so that you guys are updated on hair loss and hair transplant topics, as well as updates on current hair loss treatments in the pipeline. Visit my website at HAIRLICIOUSLY.com to purchase our microneedling device, which is scientifically proven to stimulate hair growth, my low-level laser therapy cap, DHT blocking shampoo, conditioner, and serum, hair growth vitamins, and a few other products to help those who are losing hair. So it's actually been a while since I've done a video on my channel Hairliciously. I apologize, I've just been extremely busy with work. There's a possibility that I might be moving to California. I have a second baby girl on the way. She's gonna be due in a few months. So everything's just kind of been really hectic. I'll probably be doing another video, finasteride video, because there's a lot of you guys who are wondering if it's safe to be on finasteride while conceiving. So, everything's just been really hectic, and there's a lot of topics that I've been accumulating over the past couple of weeks. But I'm back here to give you guys updates and more information and advice on hair transplants and hair loss treatments in the pipeline. So today's video is going to dive into the drug Verteporfin. I'm sure that a lot of you guys have heard about Verteporfin by now. I've done a video on this incredible drug about a year ago. And I feel that it's time for an update because it's an extremely interesting drug that has a lot of potential, not just for treating androgenetic alopecia, but also in the medical community. Now, Verteporfin is a 20-year-old FDA-approved medication that treats macular degeneration, and it's used as a photosensitizer for photodynamic therapy to eliminate the abnormal blood vessels in the eyes that causes vision loss. Back in August of last year, Stanford researchers have identified the mechanism of scar formation in skin and demonstrated in mice, mice, a way to make wounds heal with normal skin instead of scar tissue using Verteporfin injections. And the cool thing is that they also found out that these mice were able to regenerate hair follicles, which is just, this is amazing. Now, when it comes to scar tissue, it's not just merely a cosmetic issue. Scar tissue has no hair follicles, there's no sweat glands, and it's inflexible and weaker than surrounding normal skin. Now, the interesting part about this whole study was that scientists were able to locate a gene called engrailed1 that was being upregulated during the scarring process due to mechanical stress signaling. And the scientists had to look for various ways to block these signals. They found out that when they injected the drug Verteporfin into the edges of wounds on the skin of mice, their skin was able to regenerate with hair follicles and sweat glands intact. There also was no visible scarring. So you guys can just imagine the potential that something like this would have in the hair loss community. Currently, the number one limitation when it comes to a hair transplant is the finite number of donor hairs that we have in the back of our scalps. If everyone had sufficient donor hairs that they can extract and implant, then this would serve literally as a hair loss cure because everyone can get as many hair follicles and they can get as many hair transplants as they want. But that's not the case. Most people only have roughly 6,000 to 7,000, maybe 8,000 grafts if they're lucky, that can be safely extracted from the back of the scalp. So a drug like Verteporfin, has the potential to not only heal and eliminate FUE or FET scarring, but it can also regrow back the extracted grafts from the donor area. Now, to give you guys a quick illustration on Verteporfin's efficacy on the mice study, on the left is day 0 of a fresh wound, and then the middle photo is at day 30 with saline injected, and we can still see that even with saline solution, scar formation around these circled dotted white lines with no visible hairs growing. But if you guys look at the Verteporfin treated wound on the right, there's no scarring after 30 days, and miraculously we can see hair follicles that have grown back, which is just incredible. Now, this treatment obviously has incredible potential, not just in the hair loss community as I mentioned, but also the potential to change the lives of those who have disfiguring wounds. Imagine cleft lips that can be treated without scars, burn wounds that recover without a trace of injury, disfiguring scars that can literally disappear, just leaving smooth and flawless skin. And the thing is, even if Verteporfin is only going to work 50% of the time in regenerating hair follicles, that would still be a huge game changer. If you undergo a 2,000 graft transplant, that's an extra 1,000 grafts that can be used towards a future hair transplant. So the last update that we got from Stanford was that they were planning on preclinical trials on different animal models, most likely a pig, before proceeding to human clinical trials. So, I did some digging online, And apparently, they recently had a team that used verteporfin on red Duroc pigs. The summary of the methods used were as follows. Full thickness excisional wounds, 2 to 5 centimeter hexagons, were produced on the dorsum of adult pigs. Wounds received intradermal verteporfin, 2 milligrams per milliliter, or vehicle control, followed by primary repair with 3-0 vicryl deep dermal and 3-0 monocryl running subcuticular sutures. Catometer measurements were obtained to assess tissue stiffness every 2 weeks. Wounds and unwounded skin were harvested after 16 weeks for histologic, mechanical, and scRNA sequence analyses. So the images on the top were from the vehicle control at 0 weeks, stitched up. There's no difference from the verteporfin treated one at this point. But if you compare the 16 weeks for both groups, the one that received verteporfin shows, there's no scarring, which is very, very, very incredible. You can clearly see the horizontal fibrotic scar on the vehicle control in addition to reduced tissue elasticity. But the verteporfin treated wound has nearly identical tissue resemblance as the surrounding skin. In addition to that, we can see a much more higher elastic ratio at week 16 for the one treated with verteporfin compared to the vehicle, as well as a higher tensile strength, meaning that verteporfin treated wound is stronger than the vehicle. As far as I know, I don't think Stanford has given us any updates or a timeline on their progress on human clinical trials, but I do know that because verteporfin is readily available, it's FDA approved for treating macular degeneration. It has a very good safety profile. It's been, like I said, available for the past 2 decades. There are doctors who have access to this drug, and they have been testing it on humans as an off-label drug for treating hair loss. So it's likely that we will get an answer on whether or not this works in humans in regenerating hair follicles and limiting scar formation way before actual clinical trials are set to take place. Theoretically, I feel like if this thing does work in humans, my guess is that the first signs of hair growth in the donor area may appear as early as 30 days after the procedure. And hopefully over the next, few months, the extraction sites may look indistinguishable from normal skin. And interestingly enough, I have to credit the website Follicle Thought. He's been following the verteporfin experimental pilot study undertaken by Dr. Barghouti in Jordan. He is a hair transplant doctor that was observing the effects of verteporfin injected into some of his FUE patient surgical extraction wounds. So what you guys are about to see are some of the effects of verteporfin that has actually been used on human beings in a small sample size. So this is 30 days out after FU extraction using 0.4 milligram verteporfin versus control, and then another extraction test using 0.32 milligram verteporfin versus control. And in both cases where verteporfin was injected, you guys can see that the scars aren't even visible. FU extractions will typically leave white scars like the ones you see in the control group, but this is another successful outcome where verteporfin has been able to reduce scarring significantly with an almost normal skin appearance. Verteporfin treated skin had a lower prevalence of scabbing as well after FU extraction compared to the control section. So this honestly is incredible news. The only thing now that we're trying to see is if it's going to regenerate new hair follicles like it did in the mice studies. I will definitely be keeping you guys updated on any updates that I get from Dr. Barghouti. I would speculate that we should hear back in the next couple months or so, probably around the 3-month mark after they kind of see exactly what's going to happen with verteporfin. But until then, I will keep you guys posted. And I am going to say that I am optimistically cautious at this point because, there's a lot of what ifs and hurdles that need to be overcome. One of the main issues that we constantly see is the fact that, these animal studies don't always translate to human beings. But I do have to say that this is by far one of the more interesting drugs that I've seen being tested in the hair loss community. If verteporfin is able to heal via a different mechanism of action than what currently happens during scarring and is able to regenerate new hair follicles, we may very well be on our way to curing hair loss once and for all. If you guys remember a study that was done years back on a guy who suffered, third-degree burns on his scalp, basically burning and destroying any lingering hair follicles on his scalp. And that deep of a burn, he was still able to miraculously regenerate hair follicles through some mechanism of neogenesis. And, we also see this in animals. Certain animals that can regenerate things like their organs, even parts of their limbs, their tails and brains, as a result of, progenitor cells that keep the memory of each tissue. So with hair follicles being a mini organ, they can also potentially signal and induce surrounding areas and tissue to produce the same type of cells that were previously there with verteporfin, all without the fibrotic buildup and scarring. But that basically wraps up this video. I'm sorry I don't have any more updates, but I hope you guys like this content. Verteporfin is by far one of my favorite topics to cover. And I hope that in the near future we have more human clinical trials so that we can see, just really see the efficacy and see if it works. I will definitely keep you guys posted on the results for Dr. Barghouti. It's definitely going to be interesting. Anyway, let me know what your thoughts are on verteporfin. Do you guys think that it has the potential to regenerate new hair follicles? Let me know in the comment section below. Thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for all of your support, and I will talk to you guys in my next video. Take care.